You can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Ajnanatimirandasya.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya.
Jnananjanashalakaya.
Jnananjanashalakaya.
Chakshuru untimilam yena.
Chakshurundiminam.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Namo Vishnupadaya.
Namo Vishnupadaya.
Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale.
Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale.
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta.
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta.
Swami iti namine.
Swami iti namine.
Namaste Saraswati Deve.
Namaste Saraswati Deve.
Gauravani Pracharine.
Gauravani Pracharine.
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi.
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi.
Paschatya Deshatarine.
Paschatya Deshatarine.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
Prabhu Nityananda.
Prabhu Nityananda.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara.
Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
Hare Rama Hare Rama.
Hare Rama Hare Rama.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. So I welcome you all for our Wednesday program. So usually on every Wednesday we talk about Bhagavad Gita, but this month is a bit special. So today we are talking about Srimad Bhagvatam. So why this month is special? Because this month is the appearance of the Srimad Bhagvatam. So on the 29th of September, so the Srimad Bhagavata appeared in this material world. So that's why we celebrate that as a Bhadra Purnima. So there will be festival in temple. So it is a Friday. So from the 5 p.m. So we'll have a Bhadra Purnima festival. So today we'll talk about the glories and the importance of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. So first let me ask you a question. Like you all know Gita, right? Anybody who doesn't know Bhagavad Gita? I guess most of you know if you are from India, right? And then we have this Srimad Bhagvatam, right? Like this is just a one book. Okay. There are like 18 books, like 17 more. So total there are 18 books. So 12 canto. Okay. So my question is, what is the difference between Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam? To all of you, like if anybody knows.
One Lord speaks and another Lord's devotee speaks.
Okay, yeah, that is one.
Bhagavad Gita is like a graduation and this is Srimad Bhagavatam is like post-graduation.
Okay, what else?
Bhagavatam is about the childhood of Sri Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
While Bhagavad Gita happened during the Kurukshetra when he recited everything to Arjuna.
Okay, yeah, right.
Also,
What else?
it is a part of no, it's a part
Mahabharata.
of Mahabharata.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. Yeah. What else?
700 verse and another one like 18,000.
18,000. Okay. What else? What is the big difference?
The Bhagavatam is a summary of the Vedas, and Gita is not meant as a summary of the Vedas.
No, it is also called as like, the Vedas are like cow, and Krishna is milking the, cow. So it's also the summary, called as summary.
maybe the Srimad Bhagvatam is older than the Bhagavad Gita.
Actually, both are like coming from the Krishna, so both are.
It's no.
Yeah, no comparison with the time.
No time.
Also, one that Bhagavad Gita is the words like the song of the Lord.
Uh-huh.
Srimad Bhagvatam, Lord has manifested himself as a Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, so you all are correct, basically. So the thing is that with the Bhagavad Gita, so Bhagavad Gita teaches us, like the material attachments are bad, like do not get angry on simple things. So how this word is dukkhalayama sashvatam, like this word is full of misery and temporary, right? But when we
So just last thought, it just came in my mind. Like Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to live in this world, and Bhagavatam teaches us how to leave this world.
actually both teach us how to live and live. Yeah, so basically the major difference, what I feel, the Gita teaches us, like why not to get angry, how to live life, and everything. But it teaches, like, it says, okay, don't get angry. That's it, right? But if we read Bhagavatam, or Bhagavad Gita says, okay, don't get materially attached to things of this material world, right? But when Bhagavan gives the life stories of, the pure devotees of the Lord, right? It teaches through the stories, right? If you get materially attached to something, what will happen? What is the best example from Bhagavatam? Like if you get attached to something, what will happen? So, yeah.
Once I have heard that once a man was very attached to his pet. It was a
Deer,
deer.
yeah. I was coming to that.
Then
soon.
he was a deer in
Yeah.
the next life.
Right. So basically the Bharat Maharaj, so basically the India has his original name as Bharat. I think there is a lot of controversies happening. Should we change the name to
From India to
India to Bharat? Should we change it? So the original name that is coming from Bharat, the king, Bharata, okay. So this king basically got attached to a deer, and while leaving his body, basically he remembered deer, and in next life he become deer, right? And that's how so Bhagavad Gita teaches like we should not get attached to things of this material world, but Bhagavatam taught the same thing through the live example of devotees, right? So when we read Bhagavatam, so it's very like we are going through a lot of stories, and from stories we are learning so many things, right? So you might it might be difficult for you to understand Bhagavad Gita at the same time, but why Bhagavad Gita? Why it is recommended that to read Bhagavad Gita before we read Srimad Bhagvatam? Like generally we read in ISKCON we recommend, okay, you first read the Bhagavad Gita and then you read the Srimad Bhagvatam. So why is it recommended?
Because then we know who is Lord.
Okay.
Theory versus practice.
Okay.
I have also heard this theory versus
Seriously? Okay, yeah, right. Yeah. So basically like Bhagavad Gita teaches us, who is God, how God is great, and the opulences of the God, right? And when we have understanding about the knowledge of the God, when the God performs those big, the extraordinary pastimes, then we can believe those pastimes, right? When we know who is Krishna, then Krishna lifting Govardhan, we can easily digest, right? That okay, Krishna can lift Govardhan because we know who is Krishna, right? Or like having like dancing with 1,000 billion gopis, right? Because only Krishna can do or God can do, right? So when we have this understanding of Bhagavad Gita, then only we can understand Srimad Bhagvatam, right? And we can relate Srimad Bhagvatam once we have understanding of Bhagavad Gita. So that's why it is called as the Bhagavad Gita is like graduation, and the Srimad Bhagvatam is like a post-graduation. So we go in a deep of the understanding of God and the pastime of the God, right? And then we have the Chaitanya Charamrit. It is like a PhD. Why? Because it again goes deep into the dealing of the pure devotional service and dealing of with the Lord and the devotees. So that's why it is called at the highest scripture. Like it is in the same line of Gita and Srimad Bhagvatam, but it deals in a more subtle way, right? So basically, Bhagavad Gita is called as voice of the Lord, right? Because the Krishna spoke by himself, right? And Srimad Bhagvatam is called as character of the God, right? It gives, it tells about Krishna, right? Whereas Chaitanya Charitamrita is called as mind of the God, because it is more subtle, it goes more deep, right? So that is the difference between Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? So Chaitanya Charitamrita is nothing but it explains the pastimes of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is nothing but the incarnation of Krishna himself with the heart of Radharani, who came 5,500 years back in this material world just to preach the message of Godhead and preach the Sankirtan movement. Yeah. So this is the difference between these three scriptures, right? So why we are talking about the Srimad Bhagavatam today, as I told, like Bhadra Purnima is coming, and it is so important to have awareness about Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So we'll understand why it is so important to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and to have awareness about Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So when Krishna takes incarnation as a fish, what we call Matsya Avatar. When Krishna takes incarnation as boar, what we call Varahadev, right? When Krishna takes incarnation of ideal man, Ram, right? So similarly, when Krishna takes incarnation as a book, what we call Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is a book incarnation of Lord Krishna. So that's why there is no difference between Krishna and the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So there are how many cantos in Srimad Bhagavatam?
12.
Any different numbers? So there are 12 cantos in Srimad Bhagavatam, right? And each canto represents the part of the spiritual body or the part of the Krishna himself, right? So you want to know which canto is which part of Krishna's body? So his left and right leg represent the first and the second canto, right? His thighs, both the thighs represent the third and the fourth canto. The fifth, it represents the abdomen. The sixth, it represents the chest of the Lord. The seventh represents the neck of the Lord. Then 8 and 9 represent the hand of the Lord, okay? And the face represented by the 10th canto, right? And the Raslila chapter, the dealings with gopis, represented by the big smile of the Lord, okay? The 11th canto represented the forehead of the Lord, and the 12th canto represent the crown of the Lord, which the Mother Yashoda used to decorate Krishna with, so many garlands, flowers, and fruits. So the crown represents the 12th canto of the, the crown represents the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So if we look at the whole body, so the whole body is nothing but the Srimad Bhagavatam of Lord Krishna, right? So when someone asks you, have you seen the God?
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes? So what do you have to say?
Yes.
I have seen the God. Right? If someone asks, have I touched the God? Have I touched the God? What you will say? Yes, I have touched the God. Right? If someone asks, have you smelled the God? Beautiful. So what you have to say? Yes, I have smelled the God. Right? Because the Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna is non-different, right? When Krishna left this material world, he incarnated as a book incarnation, which is called as Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So do you know that why the Indian culture is preserved? Like if you see, like invaders, like Britishers, like French, or the Spanish people, so invaded many of the continents, right? So for example, the Spanish people invaded the Latin America, right? And if you see, I think there is someone outside. Yeah. Yeah. So the Spanish people invaded the Latin America, right? So if you see the whole Latin America, except Brazil, everyone speaks Spanish, and they don't have their own culture now. The mostly like after 50 years, the culture finished in those countries. Even if you look at some of the countries in Africa, even like USA, so they don't have their own culture, right? Because once this like invasion happened, the culture is finished because there was no their own culture, right? But if you see India, there were so many big invasion happen. Like what was the first invasion? By the Mughals, right? Or the Islamic invasion, invaders, they came and they destroyed the whole country, right? And after that the Britishers came, right? Again they invaded the country, and they tried to weak the foundation of the India, that is its culture, right? But why the culture of India did not vanish, right? Even after 1,000 years of invasion. Generally, after 50 years, the culture is gone. But even after 1,000 years of such a severe invasion, still the culture of India is preserved. Why it is like this? What is your thought on this? Like why the culture of India is still preserved? Yes, Parth?
Because it was never created.
What? It was never created. Okay.
The culture, it was never created, it was eternal. So
Mhm.
it will never end.
Okay. What else?
Because we have scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagvatam.
Yeah.
Upanishads and Vedas.
Okay.
We had gurus like Srila Prabhupada and
The Guru Parampara.
Guru
Okay.
Parampara.
So, right. Yeah. So you all are correct. So the main reason why the culture of India is never vanished. Okay. The reason is that each and every part of India, their Harikathas were happening, right? So there were Ram Kathas and Harikatha. If you see in India, like there is always like Bhagavad Saptaha. Bhagavad Saptaha means there is 7 days Bhagavad Saptaha. Like the recitation of Bhagavatam is happening. Every small part of India also Ram Katha and everything is happening, right? So if you look at, but what is vanishing the culture of India now, right? So the first thing, like the Big Brother came. Who is the Big Brother? The television. In 90s and 80s, 90s, something like that, the television came and they tried to divert the population of India from the spirituality, right? Then the middle brother came. Who is that? Mobile. So it took Big Brother to divert the Indians like maybe 20 years. Then the middle brother came, he diverted 10 years. Then the youngest brother came. Internet. So that vanished the culture, like that is vanishing culture so fast, right? In like 5 years, a lot less than 5 years, the complete, the youth, the people are diverting, right? And now the best thing is that the mobile and the internet are combined together. So that is even more, diverting the youth and the people of India, like in general, the people of whole world from their culture and the foundation, right? So, but just because of the, Harikathas and the Kirtan and the stories are happening all over the world, so that is preserving our culture. So that's why it is so important to, join the Harikathas and listen to, the Srimad Bhagvatam and, the spread the glories of Srimad Bhagvatam, right? So then only the culture of India or our real culture can be preserved, right? So anybody knows how many Puranas are there? Puranas? 60? Okay. How many Puranas are there? 18? Yeah. So there are 18 Puranas, right? So in those 18 Puranas, they are divided into 6. Okay. So 6 Puranas is for the people who are in a mode of goodness. Okay. The 6 Puranas is for the people who are in mode of passion. And the 6 Puranas is for the people who are in mode of ignorance. Okay. So I'll just quickly explain what is mode of goodness. So mode of goodness means people who are quite spiritual or religious. They are quite satisfied with their life. They are living very quite the happy life. Okay. The mode of passion means have you seen people who are always behind money, right? All the time they are just money, right? And they have so many material attachment, right? So they are never satisfied with what they have. So such people is called as mode of passion, right? And the third one is called as mode of ignorance. So mode of ignorance means there are some people who hardly bother about the word, right? All the time what they are doing is, they are smoking weed, they are drinking alcohol. That's it. They don't care like whether you change the name of India to Bharat or India. So they hardly bother, right? So they don't have any opinion. Best people. So they are happy with their own life in darkness. Right? So basically, this is like three kinds of people, or these are the three modes of material nature are there. Okay. So as per the people, there are the Puranas. Like, have you gone to pharmacy or the chemist store? You see so many tablets or medicines, right? Why there are so many medicines?
different purpose.
Because there are so many diseases. Right? Because there are so many diseases, that's why there are so many medicines, right? Similarly, there are so many diseases, or there are so many types of people. So based on a type of people, there are different Puranas, right? Let's say I'm in mode of ignorance, so I will refer to the Puranas who are in a mode of ignorance. If I am in mode of goodness, I will refer to the Puranas who are in mode of goodness. If I am in mode of passion, I will refer to the Puranas who are in mode of passion, right? So based on the nature of the person and the the level, the advancement, the spiritual level of the person, there are Puranas, right? So sometimes the people say, why you have so many scriptures? Why can't you have one book like generally the other religions have it, right? But in Sanatana Dharma, so based on the disease of a person, we have a medicine, right? So based on the nature of the person, he can choose any of the book, and then that's how he can advance in his spiritual life. So that's how like the books are written or coming from the God himself, right? So someone is like, as I said, like someone as per the nature of the person, they can choose the Puranas they want to read, right? But the Srimad Bhagvatam is the only Purana, or is the only book which is the medicine for all the diseases. So if you read the Srimad Bhagvatam, so you don't have to read any other Puranas, right? So because in all three Puranas, if we consider, there are more than like 500,000 shlokas or verses. So how many of you like to read? So Prabhuji like to read, I also like to read. But will you read 500,000 verses? And that is in Sanskrit? Anybody know Sanskrit? No, right? So difficult. Yeah, even if you know Sanskrit, still 500,000 is a lot.
Is it translated to other languages?
I think there are translations, but still, yeah. So, but we don't have that much time to read, 500,000 shlokas or verses, right? But how many verses are there in Srimad Bhagavatam? 18,000. But are we still reading it? How many of you read Bhagavad Gita? Like completely? Yeah. So how many shlokas are there in Bhagavad Gita?
700.
Yeah. So can you imagine for 700 shlokas, like we cannot read? So it is how difficult it is to read like 18,000. So forget about like 500,000 shlokas then, or the verses of Puranas and the Vedas. And Vedas still have like more. Like Vedas again have like more than 500,000. Then we have Upanishads. So again it has a different. So like an Itihas, like the Mahabharata has 1 lakh shlokas, like 100,000. Right. So basically, if you look at all the scriptures, so they are filled with the dense shlokas on verses, right? And we do not have time to read everything, right? But if you read Srimad Bhagvatam, so you will get benefit of reading everything, right? So basically, if you look at Puranas, the Puranas talk about, okay, if you need some money, go to this god. If you need, the beautiful wife, you go to this god. If you need good kids, you go to this god, right? If you want to go to heavens and if you want to enjoy there, so okay, you do this activity, you go to this god, you do this yajna. So the Puranas mainly talk about all these things, right? But the Srimad Bhagavatam is the scripture that talks about the pure devotional service to the God. So what is the meaning of pure devotional service? It talks about the love of a God, right?
Medicine for all disease.
Yeah, right. Once you have love, so you don't need anything, but still you feel hungry. All I need is love. So basically, Srimad Bhagvatam talks only about the pure devotional service, which is not contaminated by anything material. Right? Because if you look at all other Puranas, they talks about, of course, there are some glimpses of pure devotional service, but it also talks about many other things, right? So wherever there is, the description of the pure devotional service in this Puranas, it is nothing but the Srimad Bhagvatam only, right? For example, if we look at the Skanda Purana, so it talks about the glories of the Jagannath, right? So of course, the glories of Jagannath and the pastime of Jagannath cannot be, like material, right? So it is like spiritual, right? So whenever there is description of such glories, so it is nothing but the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is a Srimad Bhagavatam only, right? So that's why, like, when you read a Srimad Bhagavatam, you don't need any other scripture, right? And like there are 12 cantos, and sometimes we feel like, oh my God, how can I read such a big books, right? No one is asking you to read like overnight, you don't have to give exam tomorrow, right? So you go by, you read, like, if you cannot read for 1 hour daily, you read for like 30 minutes. If you cannot read for 30 minutes, read for 15 minutes. If you cannot read 10 pages, read 5 pages. If you cannot read 5 pages, read at least 1 page, right? So no one is asking you to read like, the whole book at a time, or, all the 12 cantos, 18,000 verses at a time. But we always can read the small verses, so that at least till the time we will die, we will finish the Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? So there was one old age house, okay, in India. So of course, old age house means they don't have any work, right? And they don't know what to do, right? So basically they wake up like quite early in the morning, like maybe around 6 a.m., something like this. They get, fresh, everything. They get their prasadam. And from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. for 5 hours, they read Srimad Bhagavatam. And again, in the evening, when they have time, they again read Srimad Bhagavatam for around like 2 to 3 hours. The group, basically, the old age group. Can you imagine how many times they have read the Srimad Bhagavatam till now? Any guesses? This 18,000 verses with purport and translation. Any guess?
10 times.
Not even closer.
18,000.
500 times.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine? So if the old people can read for 500 times, so of course the young people can read at least once. Right? We have good eyes. Right? So basically the Srimad Bhagavatam is called an essence of all Puranas, right? Or essence of all Vedas, right? So this Vedas are nothing but the desire tree, okay? If you go to Vedas, if you ask something, so they will tell us how to fulfill our desires, right? As I told you, if you need something, you go to Veda, you do some yajna, you go to some specific god, and your desire will be fulfilled, right? So the Vedas is nothing but the desire tree, right? And if you go to Vedas and ask this desire tree, what is the best thing you can give to me? Right? So if you go to Krishna and you say, okay, Krishna, what is the best thing you can give to me? It's like this, if you go to Vedas and ask Vedas, what is the best thing you can give it to me? So the what Vedas will give is a Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay? So the Vedas is called as the most ripened fruit of the Srimad Bhagavatam is called as the most ripened fruit of the Vedas. Right? How many of you like mango?
Everybody.
Have you eaten mango without seed? There is no seed, only a juice. No?
Yeah.
It's a dream, I think. So we all love mango, right? So much mango is so juicy and so tasty, right? Or so sweet, right?
Sweetest.
So the season is gone, unfortunately. Yeah, of course, in Germany there is no season. So, but have you seen the Alfonso mango? So they are even like juicier, they are even tasty, right? The moment you eat mango, you are like in heaven, right? So the Srimad Bhagvatam is like a seedless mango directly coming from the Veda, like the tree of a Vedas, right? And it's like filled with the juice. What is the juice? The juice of a devotional service, right? So when we read the Srimad Bhagvatam, so we go into the ecstasy of the pastime of the Supreme Lord, and we start to relish this juice of the pastimes of the Lord. So that's why it is said that you should not hear the Srimad Bhagvatam. You should drink the Srimad Bhagvatam through your ears. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is not for hearing, right? The Srimad Bhagavatam we have to drink through our ears, right? And we should relish the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So once we relish the Srimad Bhagavatam, then we can develop the love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Have you seen crows? I think I hardly see in Germany, but in India there are so many.
There are, of course.
Here also?
Yeah. Little bit white there.
Slightly, the whiter complexion. Influence of snow. Yeah, so where do you find crow usually? No, like
Near the dustbins.
near dustbin, right? But have you seen swan? Where do you find swans? Fresh water, very, they are like very clean, right? So basically, Srimad Bhagvatam is the scripture which can turn the crow-like people into a Paramhansa or the swans. Right? So have you seen like the swan? So if you offer, like if you add some milk and then water to the swan, he will only drink milk. He will not drink the water. Right? So basically the Srimad Bhagavatam is a scripture which can turn the crow-like people into a Paramhansas, right? And so that's why, and also the people who are already Paramhansas, like there are people who are already at the platform of Paramhansa, they get relishment after reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's why it is called as Paramhansa Samhita. Right? So it is also called as Paramhansa Samhita, the other name. And you know why it is called as Srimad Bhagavatam? What is the meaning of Shri?
Lakshmi.
Srimati Radharani. Right? And Mad means the bhav or the emotion. Right? So Srimati Radharani is, like reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. And who is the lover of Srimati Radharani?
Krishna.
So when Srimati Radharani recites the Srimad Bhagavatam, who is attracted? Krishna. Right? So that's why it is also called as Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? It is coming from the bhav or a deep love for Krishna from the Srimati Radharani. Right? And who is the writer of Srimad Bhagavatam? Vasudev.
Yes.
Right? So when a Vasudev, he wrote all the scriptures, okay, like he wrote Vedas, he wrote Upanishads, he wrote Puranas, Ithihas and everything, but still he was not satisfied. Right? So imagine, like, you are a writer, you are an author of a book, you wrote all the books, and you are still not satisfied. Will your audience be satisfied if you are not satisfied? No, right? So you may not launch your book in the market since you are not satisfied, right? So similarly, Vasudev wrote all the books, but he was not satisfied and he was in distress, anxiety, why I am not feeling this, the satisfaction in my heart, right? So immediately, who appeared? Narad Muni. And Narad Muni said, "Oh Vasudev, you have written all, you have glorified, like the Durga Devi, then the Shiva, Lord Vishnu, everything you have glorified, but you haven't talked about the pure devotional service, right? So you haven't talked about pure devotional service, so please write some scripture about the pure devotional service of the Lord, right?" So what Vasudev did, he took the Bhagavad Purana. So out of this 18 Purana, there is also a Bhagavad Purana, right? So the Vasudev took this Bhagavad Purana and then he upgraded it to a Srimad Bhagvatam, right? And then he told this Srimad Bhagavatam to whom?
Ganesh.
His son. That is Mahabharata. So he told this to whom? The Sukdev Goswami. Right. And when the Sukdev Goswami, like narrated this Srimad Bhagavatam, it become even tasty or even, juicy. Have you seen there are some mangoes on the tree? If some parrot or some bird tastes it, it is even sweeter than the regular mangoes, right? So similarly, when the Sukdev Goswami through his mouth, he delivered or recited the Srimad Bhagavatam, it become even sweeter, like a mango. Right? Who is Sukdev Goswami? Sukdev Goswami is called as the parrot of Radharani. So basically, he's a parrot of Radharani. When he did the Srimad Bhagavatam for the first time 5,000 years back, the Srimad Bhagavatam even become even sweeter. So that's why and that's why when we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, we get the most satisfaction in our heart, right? We relish it so much, right? Why? Because only the Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the pure devotional service to the Lord, right? So basically what we have, we have Vedas, right? So Veda teach like father. So have you seen how father teaches? Very strict. Right, do this, don't do this, right? So our fathers are very strict, right? And then we have Upanishads, right? So Upanishads teach like teacher. Like our teacher, tells us some, technical stuff. They are more, kinder because if they, beat the student, they may call police if you are in Germany. Yeah. Right. So basically the Upanishads teach like teachers, right? Then we have Puranas, right? The Puranas teach like friend, right? Have you seen friend teaching? He's so, teaches like 2 hours before the exam, you go to friend, oh, can you explain me this theory? Can you explain me this diagram? So immediately he explains this, right? Our friend is very, loving, right? When he explains this, we easily understand that, right? So the Puranas teach like friend, right? And the Itihas is nothing but Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So they teach like whom? The lover. Have you seen, if you have girlfriend and boyfriend, so you have observed, how your lover teaches, with such a lot of sweet words and so many stories, if you have a lover. So then you know, right? So basically, Itihas teaches like a lover, right? But if you have a Srimad Bhagavatam, it teaches like everything. So if you have a Srimad Bhagavatam, it will teach like father, it will teach like teachers, it will teach like friend, it will also teach like lover, right? So that's why the Srimad Bhagavatam is so important, right? So why the Srimad Bhagavatam is so important? Because our Acharya says that the Bhakti Vinod Thakur, the great grand, guru of our Prabhupada. So he said that if there is a flood, if all the scriptures, let's say like all the Puranas, Vedas, Bible, and all other scriptures, if they are, lost in the flood, and if only the Srimad Bhagavatam is there, that means nothing is lost. But if Srimad Bhagavatam is lost or, went with the flood in a water, and if everything else is there, that means everything is lost. Right? So that's how important is the Srimad Bhagavatam. If you have a Srimad Bhagavatam, you don't need any other scriptures, right? Because all other scripture talks about the material things. Only the Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the pure devotion and love to the God. So that's why we don't need any other scriptures when we have a Srimad Bhagavatam, right? And when Prabhupada was going to the America, so his, God brother asked, Bhaktivedanta Swami, are you going America with Bhagavatam? So the Prabhupada said, no, I'm not going to America with Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is going America. I'm going as his servant. Right? So basically our Acharyas had so much, love for the Srimad Bhagavatam. And if you look at all Acharyas from the our six Goswami, Jiva Goswami, then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. If you look at Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the guru of our Prabhupada, he used to do Hari Katha for 6 hours. And what is an inauspicious day for him? When he doesn't talk about Hari Katha. So if he doesn't speak about Hari Katha, that is an inauspicious day. And who was he? He was walking encyclopedia. That means if you give any word to him, he will talk for 1 hour or more than that on that word. I mean any word of English dictionary. He was like a master in English. Right? And if you look at the Srimad Bhagvatam, which is written by Prabhupada, it is a masterpiece of Prabhupada, which he dedicated to his Guru, Bhakti, His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Right? And so there was one person who used to come to the, one temple. And what was his job? He always used to find mistake in other people's books. Okay? And he used to get pleasure out of it. And he used to show, see, there is mistake in your books. Right? So he used to, teach, he used to show like this. Right? So one day he came to our ISKCON temple. Right? He asked, okay, tell me which was the best book by your, the founder Acharya. So our devotee said, look at this is a Srimad Bhagvatam. This is a masterpiece of our founder Acharya. You take this. So our devotee sold one set to him. So he took the Srimad Bhagvatam and he took him to home. So he was reading first canto. So he was reading first canto while drinking alcohol and while smoking cigarette. Till the end of, till the time he finished the first canto, he couldn't be able to find any mistake. But at the end of the first canto, he quit drinking alcohol. And again, like he started reading second canto, third canto. Till now, he finished all the 12 cantos and he couldn't find, any mistake. But at the end of the 12th canto, he became a pure devotee. And he joined in the temple as a full-time monk. Right? So basically, if you read the Srimad Bhagvatam written by Prabhupada, you are bound to become a pure devotee. Because Prabhupada put all his, essence, all his mercy in the Srimad Bhagvatam. Right? So before publishing the first book, that is the first canto, so he was waiting to, write all the translation and purport for the first canto. Then only he went to America so that he can distribute the Bhagvatam once he will be in the America. So can you imagine, like, for first book, that is the first canto, how much time it took Prabhupada for translation? How much time it took Prabhupada for translation? For only one canto, first canto. 10 years. And in next 10 years, that is from 1966 to 1976, how many cantos he translated? 9 more. So can you imagine? And he used to translate every night from 1 to morning 4. So it was so, like he sacrificed everything just to write the Srimad Bhagvatam for us, because we don't know the Sanskrit, right? So he translated each and every word of Srimad Bhagvatam, and also he gave a purport so that we can understand the essence of the Srimad Bhagvatam, right? So that's how it is so important for us to read a Srimad Bhagvatam, right? So we can remember Srila Prabhupada by reading his Srimad Bhagvatam, right? So one time one of his disciples asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what will happen if ISKCON is closed? Right? So Prabhupada said, till the time you have my books, anyone can start ISKCON. Right? Because till the time you have ISKCON books, the books written by Prabhupada, you can start ISKCON. Right? So the Prabhupada lives in his own books. Right? So if we want to associate with Prabhupada, so we should read the books written by Prabhupada, and that's how we can get the pure devotional service of the Lord, and that's how we can connect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. Right? And this month is so special, as I told. So it's a Bhadra Purnima campaign that we are running, and anyone who gifts the Srimad Bhagvatam on the occasion of this Bhadra Purnima, he gets a confirmed ticket to what? Where? Golok Vrindavan. Right? So there is no waiting. there is no connection, direct flight to Golok Vrindavan. Right? So anyone who gifts the Srimad Bhagavatam on this occasion, he will get a direct flight to Golok Vrindavan, and he will, reside with the Lord. Right? So basically, like, we are running this Bhadra campaign to, spread the awareness of Srimad Bhagavatam and connecting people more to Krishna consciousness. So anyone who would like to, gift someone Srimad Bhagavatam, so they can connect with us. So generally the cost for Srimad Bhagavatam, generally it is 290 euros. But since this is very special month, so we reduce, or we are giving discount to, like, it will be 250 euros. So you can gift Srimad Bhagavatam by, connecting with me or temple authorities, and then we can gift the Srimad Bhagavatam on the occasion of Bhadra Purnima. And also, if you can want to contribute some amount in 250, you can also do that. Then we will combine the amount, and that's how then we will gift the one set of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's how we can spread the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we can connect more to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Prabhupada ki Jai. Any questions?
So if no one has question, then I can ask one question.
Anybody has any questions? Yeah, go ahead. Go on.
So Prabhu, the thing is, even before we have the test to read Srimad Bhagavatam, because this is a magnanimous book, right? And 18,000 verses, these are not so easy. So the thing is, how to have the taste that we can start reading and continue reading Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay. So basically, the Harikatha or Srimad Bhagavatam is called as Radharani, right? And the holy names or the Harinam is called as Krishna, right? So have you seen our mothers are more, compassionate, merciful than our father, right? So if you want something, where first you go to whom? Mom, right? Mommy, I want this chocolate. I want to buy iPhone, right? So you go to your mother, and then your mother, do buttering to your father, right? And then that's how you get the gift that you want, right? So similarly, if you want to go to Krishna for his love, you cannot get the love of Krishna directly, right? So the first you have to go to Radharani. If the Radharani is pleased, then only you will get the love of Krishna, right? So similarly, when we hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, so basically we are going to the Radharani to ask the love of Krishna, right? So once we read the Srimad Bhagavatam daily, so and when we chant the holy names, so by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, we get the attitude of how to do our chanting, or how to have an approach in our chanting, how to improve our chanting, right? If we just do chanting, then it's of course we will not reach to the level of the Shuddha Bhakti or the pure devotional love. But if you have understanding of the philosophy about the scripture, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, then we can raise our consciousness to high level, and that's how we can raise to the level of pure bhakti and the pure name for holy names, right? And the second thing about reading Srimad Bhagavatam daily, so it is all about the habit, right? Taking time or a priority, right? So whatever things is prior in our life, we make a time for it, right? So if you have a girlfriend, you will always take a time for her, right? Or if you have if you like to, if you are a health gym holic or goes to gym, or like to have 6 packs, 8 packs, so of course you'll go to gym, right? If health is your priority. So whatever is our priority, we take out time for that. Similarly, if the reading Srimad Bhagavatam is our priority, automatically we'll take time for it, right? So of course, it is not easier to, no one is asking to read, the chapters, 1 chapter, 2 chapters daily. But we can at least read a verse, 1 verse daily, right? Or 2 verses daily, 2 pages daily. So it's not difficult, right? So we can generally how I do it. So before going to sleep, So before sleeping, I read Srimad Bhagvatam. So that like I'll have a good sleep and a good dreams. If I don't read the Srimad Bhagavatam, then I have some ghost in my dreams. But if I read Srimad Bhagavatam, then I at least I don't get any bad dreams, but I get a good dreams at least, right? So that is the benefit of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So similarly, you can assign some specified time during the day. Okay, you will wake up in the morning, then you will chant your rounds, then maybe you will read Srimad Bhagavatam for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or in the night, like what I do, like before sleeping, I always read the Bhagavatam. So likewise, you can do it. So there is one book, Atomic Habits. So it talks about, how to build habits, right? So let's say like you want to build a habit of eating apple, right? If you keep the apple at the most bottom part of your refrigerators, you will never build that habit. So what you can do, you can put the apple on your study table or your work table. So whenever you will see the apple, you want to eat it, right? So similarly, so if you want to build a habit of reading Srimad Bhagavatam, you keep the Bhagavatam in the vicinity of your hands, right? You keep closer to the your hands. So whenever you have time, the desire will automatically come to read it, right? So that's how you can take away your time to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And continuous daily reading daily, it's about commitment, how you are committed to read Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So the more commitment you have, the more you will read. So it's like this. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
May I add something?
Yeah, please.
Sometimes it's very difficult to read Bhagavatam because there are challenges built in to chase away non-devotees. So if you come to this place, you say, it's very difficult to understand this. Now, the fifth canto, for example, it's very far out. It's very difficult to understand how the universe is built. Just continue reading, and then the nectar will come again. But sometimes there is this dry periods, and it is totally normal. So just continue.
Yeah, so there are some, as Prabhu said, fifth canto is dense with, it talks about the structure of the universe. Like the first few chapters talks about, Bharat Maharaj and his dynasty. But the last few chapter talks about, the geography of the universe. And the last chapter is about the description of the hellish planets. So it talks about, 26 hells where you can go after you quit this body. And what will happen to you once you go to that hell. So just disclaimer. So basically, like even the purport are dense, or you don't understand, just keep reading it. And of course, it is said that you should read Shastras under a shelter of a guru, right? So you can of course have some mentors, you have some guru, so with whom you can question, and then you can resolve your doubts. So that is one way, as Prabhu said. Yes, Pa?
But we have already Guru of Srila Prabhupada, he explained it to
everything.
us. So even if we don't have yet our own Guru, we can read this Srimad Bhagavatam with the help of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, right. So because if you read the translation and the purport, everything is given. So even like what we cannot imagine, that is also given. So it's like this.
I had a small doubt in the beginning of the lecture, like when you said that the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 12 cantos are like the 12 limbs of Krishna. So I didn't get why are the 12 cantos considered as 12 limbs of Krishna.
12 limbs, it's like, it is the expansion of Krishna, right? So basically the Bhagavatam is divided into 12 cantos. And then since Krishna is non-different from the Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna, right? So as a, expansion, we consider those as a parts of Krishna basically. So that's the analogy we give to, for our understanding. Right? So it's for our understanding because the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. So we just divide it in different parts, so for our understanding.
So the reason is my question is how do we understand okay it is like that, should we accept the fact?
It is written in scripture.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not I'm imagining it.
One thing to understand is if you meditate about the Lord, then you normally start with the
Lotus
lotus
feet.
feet.
Lord feet.
And in the same, like this, you start with the first two cantos. You don't jump immediately to the 10th canto normally, and then gradually you will up it. In this way, you can compare, you
That
can
makes
understand.
Yeah. And also it is said that like you should read the Srimad Bhagavatam gradually from first canto, second canto, third canto to the the last cantos. So generally what people do, they are so much interested in the Ras Leela of Radha and Krishna. So they cannot manage their own affairs, but they are so much interested, so much interested in the Ras Leela of Radha and Krishna. So they directly jump to the 10 cantos without even understanding the first few cantos. So until unless you read all the 9 cantos, you should not jump to the 10 cantos, because you will not get that attitude of reading the 10th canto. So that's why it is all our gurus or even the acharyas always they recommend going or reading the Bhagavatam step by step, by canto.
On the other hand, if you can't wait for the 10th canto, you can read the Krishna book.
Yeah.
Because Srila Prabhupada gave us the Krishna book with his comments that you have the right understanding, and we can Krishna book, which is the 10th canto.
Yeah.
So you can also jump directly to
Yeah, Krishna book is always good start.
Following Kunj Bihari Prabhu's like analogy, and like that is what the scripture analogy is about the Srimad Bhagvatam, that we should follow from the first and second canto. So then if we compare it with the DT, so when we see the DT, we should always see the feet first and then go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, also like like on the second canto it describes about the universal form of the Lord. So it again start with the lotus feet, and it tells about the feet are what, then the thighs are what, then the body, the limbs are what. So everything is described, like if you read the second canto. So it is always start with the different parts of body, and then we can correlate. So for example, someone is Mayavadi, or one who wants to merge into the body of a Lord. So if he reads the second canto, that is the or impersonalist, if he read the second canto, then he understands that okay, the Lord has a body. Right? So that's how it is, like the body versus analogy. Yes, Mataji.
And Krishna book, is it a separate book or it's a part of this book?
Yeah, so basically Krishna book, it is a summary of the 10th canto. Yeah. So basically like in I think 1975 or somewhere, like Prabhupada were not in a good health, okay, and he thought that he may not able to reach to the 10th canto, right, and he wanted to really glorify the 10th canto. So because of that, he gave a summary of the 10th canto as a Krishna book, so that like we can have some perspective about Krishna. And also for like the Hare Krishna movement started spreading in the Western world, right? And no one was knowing who is Krishna, right? And it's not so easy like someone will pick up the Bhagavatam and will start reading it, but it is easy to pick the Krishna book and start reading it. So that's why the Prabhupada did this summary of Krishna book, so that the Western people can understand who is Krishna. Yes, Mother.
I heard that the Vedas, there are much more books from Vedas, and many are lost, and I don't know. Can you say something about that?
Like there are 4 Vedas, like Atharvedas, Samved, Yajurved, and Rigved, right? So like I do not have much understanding about Vedas because I never studied or I never did some research. But yeah, these are the 4 Vedas. So Vedas are directly coming from the Lord. Okay, and again like, so why we don't follow Vedas? Because the Vedas talks about the Karma Kanda. What is Karma Kanda means, like how to go to heaven, or if you do this yagya you'll get this, if you do this yagya you'll get this. So basically they talk about this everything, but it also talks about the pure devotional service, and that pure devotional service is nothing but the Srimad Bhagvatam. That is the essence of all Vedas, right? So like Vedas are there, but we like if you read the purports of Prabhupada, so he always give like he sometimes he glorify Vedas, at the same time he is condemning Vedas. So basically he is glorifying Vedas for its pure devotional service part, he is condemning Vedas for his karma kanda part, right? Because like some people are so much attracted to karma kanda part, they don't even care about pure devotional service. They just focus on, you know, the karma kanda, how can I go to heaven, or even an upper planet system, right? They don't care about, you know, the love of a God or a pure devotional service. So that's why like we have Srimad Bhagavatam and we have Vedas, but again it's a essence of Vedas only.
And the Tattva Sandarbha is also part of the Veda, Tattva Sandarbha?
Not sure.
It's additional from Jiva Goswami.
Jiva Goswami.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
But it's not.
He wrote his own commentary.
It's a Vedic.
Not a part of
scripture,
Vedas.
but it's not part of the Vedas.
Not part of the Veda.
Yeah, I just remembered. Yeah.
But it's, if you can read it, but
It is-
there's 6 Sandarbhas. No? But
Yeah, yeah.
If you can read it, it's.
It's not part of the Veda.
One thing that even Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, don't become bewildered by the flowery words of the
Yeah.
Vedas.
Right. Yeah. So the Jiva Goswami is called as Tattva Acharya. So basically he wrote 4 commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam, basically. And you know, the funny, like not funny, like very intelligent, so how he used to write. So this is the first page of the, you know, let's say this is the first page, right? So he used to write with ink here, the first page. And then of course this is wet, right? So he was knowing where the second page will start and second page will end. He used to start writing the third page, and he used to put the first page for drying. Then he used to write the third page, and then again he used to come to the second page, and he used to start writing the second page from there, and he used to finish the second page. So the Prabhupada used to say, in the history of creation there are two scholars. So the first one is Jiva Goswami, and the second one is my Guru Maharaj, like His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada. So he was the Tattva Acharya of basically our Guru Parampara.
Yes. I have one small question, like what Mataji asked before, that why don't we follow the Vedas? I didn't exactly hear the question, but like Krishna in Bhagavad Gita also mentioned somewhere that of all the 3 Vedas I am Sam Veda. So what does he mean by that then?
So basically, like I think this is called as vibhutis. Okay. So Krishna also says that, okay, I am the shark in the sea, right? So that doesn't mean you go to sea, you start doing arti of shark. So basically he is representing whatever there is best, I am that best. Right? Okay, also like he also says I am the lion in the animals, right? If you go to zoo, like you remove your agarbatti and start doing aarti, ting ting ting. Oh, Krishna said, I am the lion in the animals. Yeah. Okay, so we'll finish the class here. So anybody who would like to, you know, donate the Srimad Bhagavatam, so they can contact me or the temple authorities. And so we'll have this ceremony on 29th of September, starting at 5 p.m. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.